everyone and welcome to Kiki Crochet. In this video tutorial we're going to learn how to crochet step by step this basic V-shaped buttoned vest. So I used a total of 9 skeins of heavyweight yarn, and what I want to mention before we start to see the materials that I used and how to start, I want to mention that even though I give the chart in the beginning of the video, the chart applies to a vest that has been made with similar yarn and the same crochet hook that I've crocheted. So if you're going to use a thinner yarn and a smaller crochet hook, or a thicker yarn and a bigger crochet hook, you'll have to adjust the beginning stitches. Having said that, we also need to know the measurements of our body, or for the body that we're crocheting for. So this is made for a size large, but each person has a different body type. So you want to take the measurement of your chest circumference and divide that number by 2. So when you finish working your increases, the total width over here needs to be that measurement. And we also need to know the arm depth. So you want to measure from your shoulder up to under your underarm, and you want to know that measurement as well. Okay, so let's see the material that I'm going to use and how we're going to start. The material that I'm going to use is Alize Super Lana Maxi, which is a heavyweight yarn. It's 100 grams or 3.53 ounces in 109 yards each skein. It's 75% acrylic and 25% wool. And I'm crocheting with a 6mm crochet hook. Now, before we start, I want to explain the setup. So, I'm crocheting for a size large, and for this size, I'm starting with 50 chains. Now, the chart that I have in the beginning has to do with projects that I've made with the same or similar weight yarn and with the same crochet hook. If you're going to crochet with thinner yarn and smaller crochet hook, or thicker yarn and bigger crochet hook, you'll have to adjust your beginning stitches. Okay, so I'm starting with 50 chains, and the setup for size large is 2, 10, 20, 10, 2. So what this means is, because I'm starting from the top to the bottom and I'm crocheting in one piece to form raglan sleeves, but also I want to make a V opening on the front. Okay, so I'm going to start row 1 with 2 double crochet, then my increase. This is the first, the one front part, then increase 10 double crochet. This is my one sleeve. Increase 20 double crochet. This is the back part. Increase 10 double crochet. This is my other sleeve. Increase and 2 double crochet for the other front part of my vest. So all these stitches count 24. Okay, so 2 plus 10 plus 20 plus 10 plus 2, I have 44 stitches. The plus 4 is each chain that I'm going to work my increases in. So 44 plus 4, I have 48, and the plus 2 that I always add is the 2 extra chains that I need to turn to row number 1. Without those 2 chains, my design, my pattern is going to come out wrong. So this is how I get my 50 chains to begin with. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. I have already started with my 50 chains. Okay, and now we're going to start by following the setup. So my setup says that I'm supposed to start with 2 double crochet. So I'm going to count 4 chains from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to put my hook in that 4th chain, and I'm going to work 1 double crochet. So those 3 chains and the double crochet that I worked in the 4th stitch give me the first 2 double crochet that I need. So in the next chain, I'm going to work my increase. So my increase is always going to be 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet in the same chain. So in that chain 1 space, if you're afraid you're going to lose your increase, put a stitch marker. Okay, now my setup says that I need to continue with a total of 10 double crochet. So starting from the next chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So after those 10 double crochet, I'm going to work my increase. So in the next stitch, I'm going to work 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet in the same chain stitch. So again, here in my increase, in the chain 1 space, I'm going to put my stitch marker so I know in the next row where I'm going to work my increases. So now we're working the back part, and we're going to work 20 double crochet, starting from the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, and keep crocheting for 20 double crochet. I've completed crocheting the 20 double crochet for the back. So in the next chain stitch, I'm going to work my increase. So I'm going to work 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet in the same chain stitch. Okay, put a stitch marker in your chain 1 space so you know where to work your increase in the next row. And now I'm going to continue by working 1 double crochet in each of the next 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. In the next stitch, I'm going to work my last increase for this row. So work 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet in the same chain stitch. Again, in your chain 1 space, put your stitch marker, and I'm going to finish my row by working 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 chain stitches. 1 and 2. Okay, so this is what I have as a result when I finish row number 1. Okay, so right here, down here, by working the increases in the beginning and in the end of the row, starting from row 2, I'm going to form a V in the front of our vest. So let's see how we're going to do that. In order to start working increases in the beginning and in the end of the row, I'm going to start by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. Put your hook in the same stitch in the first double crochet and work 1 double crochet. By doing this, we have 2 double crochet in the first stitch. Work 1 double crochet in each of the next 2. 1 and 2, and now we are in our chain 1 space. So take out your stitch marker and in the chain 1 space, work again 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 double crochet. Put your stitch marker in the chain 1 space again, and now we are in the sleeve part. In the previous row, we worked a total of 10 double crochet. In this row, due to the increases that we work, we're going to work a total of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then we have our increase. Okay, so starting from the first double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the reason that I'm going a little faster is because I'm working 1 double crochet in every stitch, okay? So 8, 9, 10, 11, and my last double crochet, 12. So again I reached my chain 1 space. So take out your stitch marker, and in the chain 1 space again work your increase, double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet. So I'm going to put my stitch marker in my chain 1 space, and now we're going to work the back part. So in the previous row we worked 20 double crochet. In this row, due to the increases, we're going to work 22. So starting from the first double crochet, 1, 2, and keep working up until you have 22 double crochet. I've worked my 22 double crochet. Now I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and in my chain 1 space I'm going to work again 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 double crochet in the same chain stitch. Take your stitch marker, put it again in the chain 1 space. Okay, and starting from the double crochet, from the first double crochet, work 12 double crochet. 1, 2, and keep crocheting up until you have your 12 stitches. I've worked my 12 double crochet. Now I'm going to take out my stitch marker because the next stitch is my chain 1, and I'm going to work an increase, double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet under the same chain 1 space. So put your stitch marker again in the chain 1 space, and now I'm going to finish my row. I have a total of 3 stitches, 1, 2, and the chain 3 that I used to turn to row 1. Okay, so I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the first 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in my last stitch I'm going to work an increase. So I'm going to put my hook in that 3rd chain counting from the bottom, and I'm going to work 2 double crochet in the same stitch, 1, same stitch, 2. So this is what we have as a result so far. Okay, so right here is where the V opening is going to form. So we're going to work 1 more row on camera, then we're going to work the rest of it off. And what I want to understand is that I'm going to keep working increases in the beginning and then the end of each row up until the total number of the back stitches equal the total number of the 2 front parts. So let's say as I keep working, if the back stitches are 36, when I add the 2 parts, the 2 front parts together, I should get 36 stitches. Up until those 2 parts are not equal, we're going to keep crocheting increases in the beginning and in the end of the rows. Okay, so we're going to work 1 more row together just in case. So again, start with a chain of 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. Put your hook in the first stitch to work 1 more double crochet. So by doing this we have worked 2 double crochet in the first stitch. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's start. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So take out your stitch marker because we have reached our chain 1 space, and work your increase. 1 double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet under the same chain 1 space. Okay, so put your stitch marker in here again. Okay, so now start working for your sleeve, starting from the next double crochet. So in the previous row we had 12 double crochet. In this row we're gonna have 14. Then you're gonna work the back part. Okay, so you're doing your increase, the back part. Previous row was 22 double crochet. This row is gonna be 24. Increase. You're back again on your other sleeve to work 14 double crochet, increase, and I'm gonna turn my video back on to finish row number 3 together. I've worked all around, I've worked my last increase, and we're gonna finish the row together. I'm gonna work 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and in my last stitch, the chain 3 that I worked in the previous row, okay, in that third chain, I'm gonna work 2 double crochet in the same stitch. 1, same stitch, 2. And this is what we have as a result so far. Okay, see how here with the increases, those 2 front parts are started to come closer to each other. So I'm going to mention again, even though I explained earlier, what I want to do is I want to keep working increases in the first and last stitch of every row up until the stitches of the 2 front parts, when they are added together, they're equal to the total stitches of the back part. So if you continue working, let's say the stitches of the back part are 36 or 34, when you add the 2 front parts together, you should get 36 or 34 stitches as well. Okay, so keep working an increase in the first stitch. In every chain 1 space, we work our increases, and in the last stitch of every row. I'm going to turn my video back on to continue with our vest when the 2 front parts and the back part are equal to each other. I've crocheted and I reached the spot where the stitches of the back part are equal to the stitches of the 2 front parts together. So what I mean is, after the increase, after the chain space, all the double crochet back here are 38. It's a total of 38 double crochet. On the 1 front part, after my chain space, I have 19 double crochet, and after the chain space on the other front part, I have 19 double crochet as well. So 19 plus 19 are 38. So my V-stitch closes up at this point. I have 38 stitches on the back and 38 stitches in the front. What I'm going to do now, it's a method that that is going to be the first time that I'm going to use. We are going to crochet the buttonholes as we go through, and we crochet the body of our vest. So what we're going to do, so this way we're now going to go ahead and work the ripple stitch all around to form the buttonholes in the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work at least 2 more rows with increases in the beginning and in the end of my row, and in all the chain 1 spaces over here, in the same way I was working all my rows so far. This way the 2 front parts are going to cross with each other, and I'm going to be working my buttonholes as I go through and work the rest of the rows for my vest. Okay, so far I forgot to mention, I have worked a total of 9 rows to reach at this point. So now we're going to start row number 10 by chaining 3. I've already chained 1, 2, 3. Turn your work, and as we were doing so far, put your hook in the first, double crochet for this row, and work 1 double crochet. Oops. By doing this again, we have 2 double crochet in the first stitch. Now 1 double crochet in each of the next double crochet, increase in the chain 1 space, double crochet, increase in the chain 1 space, the same exact thing we were doing so far. And again, in the end of the row, In the last double crochet, I'm going to work 2 double crochet in that same stitch. Once I finish row number 10, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to start row number 11. I've completed crocheting row number 10 and see how my work has started to overlap. Okay, the two pieces have started to overlap. Now we're going to work row number 11 and we're going to start in the same exact way. We've done all rows so far, so I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to turn my work 1 double crochet in the first stitch. So this way we're working an increase in the first stitch. It's the same thing as working 2 double crochet in the same stitch. Work all around your increases in the chain spaces, and I'm going to turn my video back on to finish row number 11 together because we're going to work our first buttonhole. I'm almost done crocheting my row. Okay, what I'm going to do now is in all previous rows we have worked 2 double crochet in the beginning and in the end of the row. Now instead of working 2 double crochet in the last stitch, I'm going to substitute one of those 2 stitches with a chain 1, and this is my buttonhole, and I'm only going to work 1 double crochet in the last stitch for this row. And this is my first buttonhole. So this is how you're going to create it when it's in the end of the row. So this is how our first buttonhole has been created. Now this is the last row of increases in the beginning and in the end of my work. I'm only going to work my increases in between my project, okay, from now on up until I reach the chest measurement that I want. Now we're going to start the next row by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to turn my work. And so, as I mentioned a few seconds ago, I'm not going to work any more increases in the beginning and in the end, so I am not going to work a double crochet in the first stitch because the 3 chains count as my first double crochet. I'm going to go ahead and start working from the next stitch. So put your hook in the chain 1 space and work 1 double crochet. So I crocheted on top of my buttonhole. 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So this is how my work looks like once I have crocheted on top of my buttonhole as well. Okay, so keep working 1 double crochet in every stitch and increase in all the chain 1 spaces that we have in the four spots that we work our increases in our vest. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be working my buttonholes in every 3rd row. And this because this yarn is very thick and this is how wide every 3rd row is. So I think it's a very nice width to have a buttonhole after every 3 rows. Okay. So in every 3rd row, I'm going to create a buttonhole. And what I want to mention is, as I said earlier, we're not working any more increases in the beginning and in the end. But because in the 3rd row that I'm going to work my buttonhole, the buttonhole is going to be in the beginning of the row. I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to start the row with the buttonhole. Okay, make sure that all your buttonholes are on the same side. And what's important to know now, for a size large, I want a approximately 111 centimeters chest circumference. When I have a chest circumference, is the measurements all around. So I'm going to start working increases in between my work when I measure with my measuring tape. From the one front part right here in the increase of the sleeve to the other side, and I have a 15.5 measurement because I took the 111 centimeters and divided by 2 because I want the front and back part of my vest. So when you divide it by 2, you have 55.5 centimeters, or round it up to 56. So I'm going to keep working increases in between my work up until I reach that measurement. So I'm going to turn my video off now and I'm going to turn it back on when I am in the third row when I start the third row to create my new buttonhole. I've reached the point where I'm going to crochet my buttonhole. Now before I turn my video off, I mentioned that I would work my buttonholes in every 3 rows, but because as I went through the third row and left the buttonhole, I attached 2 buttons and I saw that the distance was too close together, so I went on and I crocheted an extra row, so I am in the 4th row. So after the first button, I've made 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, okay? And I'm again in the end of the row where I'm going to work my buttonhole. So what I'm gonna do is I've left 2 stitches in the end. I'm going to substitute the second before last stitch with a chain 1. Hold on. I'm substituting the second before last stitch with a chain 1, and this is the buttonhole, and I'm going to work 1 double crochet in the last stitch for this row. Okay, so this is my second buttonhole, but because see how we have a little gap, a little space here when we work the 3 chains in the beginning, make sure you put a stitch marker in every buttonhole so you don't get confused. Now, the reason that I wanted to show how to work an extra buttonhole was because if we started the buttonhole in row number 3, we would start from the beginning of the row with a buttonhole, so we have them all on the same side, and I want to show how to do that. So if you are going to work in the beginning of the row your buttonhole, you would start with a chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You would turn your work. Okay, so the first 3 chains count as my first double crochet. The chain 1 space is the second stitch that I always substitute for the hole. So I would start crocheting my double crochet from the 3rd stitch. First, second the buttonhole, and I would start working from the 3rd stitch. This is how you would work your buttonhole if it would be in the beginning of the row. Now, even though we have left the same exact space for both buttonholes, see how when it is in the end and in the beginning of the row, the one that I just started looks bigger? Well, they are the same exact size, but in the end, when we go ahead and work 1 row of single crochet around, the holes will be the same, they will have the same size. So I just want to show how you would work your hole if it would be in the beginning of the row. So I'm going to start crocheting now regular my rows. Start with 3 chains, okay? So the 3 chains count as my first double crochet. Work 1 double crochet on top of the chain 1. So put your hole in that chain and work a double crochet. 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So I crocheted on top of my buttonhole again as I did over here. Okay, so keep working 1 double crochet in every stitch and keep working your increases in your chain 1 spaces. But what I want to show before I turn my video off is as we go through our work, okay, and we keep working our increases, make sure you measure with your measuring tape just in case you reach your spot where you want to stop, okay? So go ahead and align your corners. Okay, see how the one part has crossed the other, and this is where we're going to put our buttons. Okay, so I'm going to take my measuring tape from the one corner of the sleeve to the other. Oops. From the one corner to the other, and I'm at 50 centimeters. So I'm going to need to keep crocheting increases in my chain 1 spaces up until I get an extra 6 centimeters on my width. Okay, so once you reach the width that you want for the size you're crocheting, stop at that point, and we're going to continue working when I turn my video back on, I'm going to continue working on the sleeves and how to work around to close the sleeves and keep working for the rest of the body of the vest. Okay, so I'm going to keep crocheting now up until I reach the width that I want, and then when I turn my video back on, we're going to see how to work the sleeves and the rest of the body. I have completed crocheting so far and have made a total of 21 rows from the beginning up until here, and now we're going to close for the sleeves. Before I do that though, I want to explain that when we crochet male jackets or vests, we want the buttons to be on the right side. So when the man wears the jacket, we want the buttons to be on the right side and the buttonholes on the left. So when we have our work laid down, that means that the buttons are on the left and the buttonholes on the right. Okay, so when you close for your sleeves, you want your yarn to be on the right side where we have our buttonholes. If it's not, go ahead and work an extra row so your yarn is on the right side of your work. Now, what I'm going to do in order to align my work better, I'm going to put a stitch marker to close together the part for the sleeve. So put your stitch marker in the chain one space on the back side and in the chain one space on the front side. So this will help us align it better so we can measure it, how big it has gotten so far. Okay, stitch marker in the chain one space on the back, chain one space on the front. Okay, so my sleeve is 26 centimeters and the total width for the chest is 58 centimeters. Now, earlier in the video, before I turned it off, I mentioned that we wanted to be around 56 centimeters when we did the division and all that. But because when I reached the 20th row and I measured, it was around 55.5 centimeters. So I went on and made an extra row, so that extra row gave me 2.5 centimeters more. So I'm at 58 centimeters width for the chest. But that's okay. That doesn't mean that it's wrong because your work is 2 centimeters wider than you want it, because a vest is something that you wear on top of a shirt, so you want it to be a little wider. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see how to start to work our row for to close for the sleeves. Okay, so I have already my 3 chains to start my new row, and those 3 chains count as my first double crochet. So go ahead and turn your work. Okay, so we have our 3 chains. So I'm not going to work in the first double crochet. I'm going to go ahead and start working from the second stitch. 2, 3, 4, and keep crocheting up until you reach the double crochet that's before the chain one space. So 1 double crochet in every stitch up until you reach the double crochet before the chain one space. I've worked 1 double crochet in every stitch for the front part, and I've worked up until the double crochet that's before the chain one space. So now if I didn't have the stitch marker in here, I would be in the spot where I would work my increases in the chain one space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the stitch marker on the front chain one space, and in this space I'm going to work 1 double crochet under the chain one space. Now I'm going to take out the stitch marker on the chain one space in the back part, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over once, put your hook under the chain one space in the front and in the chain one space in the back, grab your yarn, pull it through both parts and work a double crochet. Okay, so we joined the two sides together. So we joined for the sleeve. Now turn your work on the back and go ahead and work one double crochet in the chain one space in the back, just in that chain one space in the back. Okay, so what we have here is we worked one double crochet in the front chain one space, one double crochet to close both pieces together, and then we turned in the back and we worked one double crochet in the chain one space in the back. Now keep crocheting one double crochet in every stitch up until you reach the next stitch marker, where I'm going to turn my video back on to close the other sleeve together as well. So keep crocheting one double crochet in every stitch up until you reach your stitch marker. I've completed crocheting one double crochet in every stitch for the back. Okay, and I've reached my stitch markers again, so my chain one space. So what I'm going to do, as I did on the other side, I'm going to take out my stitch marker. I'm going to work one double crochet in the chain one space, yarn over once, put your hook under the chain one space on the front part, on the side that you're working, and on the chain one space on the back part. Okay, on the back piece, and now take the yarn and pull it through both chain one spaces and work a double crochet. Okay, so again we joined the other sleeve as well. We joined to close for the other sleeve. Now turn your work and work one double crochet in the chain one space on the back as well. So what we did is we worked one double crochet in every stitch. We reached the chain one space and we worked one double crochet to close both sides together. We turned our work and we worked one double crochet in the chain one space on the back part, on the back piece, when we turned our work. Okay, now keep working one double crochet in every stitch up until you finish the whole side over here. When I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to work the rest of the vest off camera. I've completed crocheting my row. Okay, after we closed for the last sleeve, I completed crocheting the front part, and this is what we have as a result after we closed our sleeves. Okay, this is the one side and the other side. Okay, so now from here on you're going to be working one double crochet in every stitch. Okay, start the row and finish, chain 3, and go ahead and start your new row, and so on. Now make sure that you're crocheting your buttonholes as well. After my last buttonhole, I'm in the 3rd row, so in the row that I'm going to start now, it's going to be the 4th row, so I'm going to have to create my buttonhole as well. So keep crocheting up until you have the desired length. When I finish crocheting my vest, I'm going to turn the video back on to see how to work the rib stitch in the end and how to work it on the sleeves as well. I've completed crocheting so far. I've made it a total of 44 rows starting from the beginning to the end. I have a total of 9 buttonholes. Okay, and in the end, after my last buttonhole, the 9th one, I've worked one row with one double crochet in every stitch. So in the row that I'm going to start now, it's going to be easier for me on this part over here to work the rib stitch. Okay, so let's start the last rows of the rib stitch so our work looks nice in the end as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my new row by chaining 2, 1, 2. Okay, let me turn the work. Okay, so I've started with 2 chains. Those 2 chains do not count as a stitch. I'm going to put my hook in the first double crochet for this row, and I'm going to work a half double crochet. Okay, and the half double crochet only goes in the first and in the last stitch for the row. So now in order to work the rib stitch, I want to go ahead and work front post and back post double crochet. So in order to work a front post double crochet in the next stitch, if I was going to work a regular double crochet, I was going to put my hook in the stitch. So what I'm going to do now is I want to wrap my hook around every stitch, and I'm going to be either pulling forward or backward every time. So I'm going to start with a front post, and in order to work a front post double crochet, I'm going to put my hook from the front to the back on the right side of the stitch and out on the left side, and I'm pulling outwards the double crochet. Grab the yarn, pull it under the stitch, and now work your double crochet. Grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through the last 2. So this was my front post double crochet. Yarn over once. My next stitch is going to be a back post. So I'm going to put my hook from the back to the front on the right side of the stitch and to the back again on the left side. So I'm pulling backwards my double crochet. Grab the yarn, pull it under the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through the last 2. My next stitch is going to be a front post. So yarn over once, put your hook from the front to the back on the right side of the stitch, to the front again on the left side, so we're pulling outwards. Grab the yarn, pull it under the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through the last 2. Yarn over once. Next stitch is going to be a back post double crochet. So put your hook from the back to the front and to the back again on the left side of the stitch. Grab the yarn, pull it under the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through 2, grab the yarn, pull through the last 2. Okay, we're going to work a few more stitches together. The next stitch is going to be a front post double crochet. So from the front to the back and to the front again, and work your double crochet. Next stitch is going to be a back post. So from the back to the front and to the back again, and work your double crochet. Next stitch is going to be a front post. Next stitch is going to be a back post. And this is how my work looks like so far. See how it gives a nice texture in the end of our work. So keep working front post and back post. Once I reach the second before last stitch of my work, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to finish the row together and how to start the second row of the rib stitch. I'm almost done with my row and have left the last 2 stitches to work together. And the reason that I left the last 2 stitches is because I want to make sure you don't miss out the last stitch of the row. So I have a double crochet, which is the second before last, and the last double crochet for the row, which is the chain 3 that I was working in every row to begin with. So the stitch that I just worked was a back post. So I'm going to work a front post in the next double crochet. And see, once I work my front post, I immediately lost the last stitch of the row. It's not that visible, so make sure you crochet in that stitch because you don't want to start your work to start shrinking. Okay, so this is the last stitch of the row, the chain 3. Put your hook in the 3rd chain and work the last stitch of the row, which is a half double crochet. Okay, chain 2, and those 2 chains don't count as a stitch. And we're going to start the second row of the rib stitch. So now let me zoom in a little bit so it's a little more visible what I'm doing. Okay, so I started with 2 chains. Put your hook in the first stitch, which is the half double crochet. Put your hook in the stitch and work 1 half double crochet. Now what I want to do in the rest of the stitches, I want to keep the direction of the stitches. So in the previous row, see the last stitch that I worked here was a front post double crochet. As I turn my work, it immediately becomes a back post double crochet. And the stitch before that, which was a back post double crochet in the previous row, in this row it immediately became a front post double crochet. So I want to keep working backwards the back posts that I see in the row, and front post the stitches that I see that are pulled outwards. So the first stitch seems a back post double crochet. So because it isn't that visible, make sure you pull up your stitch a little bit and put your hook from the back to the front on the right side, to the back again on the left side of the stitch, and work your double crochet. The next stitch is a front post double crochet. So put your hook from the front to the back on the right side, to the front again on the left side, and work a double crochet. The next stitch is a back post double crochet. So put your hook from the back to the front on the right side, to the back again on the left side, and work your double crochet. The next stitch is a front post double crochet. The next stitch is a back post double crochet. Okay, so keep working front post and back posts. The last stitch is a half double crochet. Once I finish my row, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue from there on. I'm almost done with my row, and I'm left with my 3 last stitches for the row. And I wanted to work the 3 stitches together, so just in case you don't miss out the stitches. Now I've worked this stitch which is a back post, and I'm left with 3 stitches, but I can actually see only the 2 of them. I can only see the front post and the half double crochet in the end. In between those 2 posts though, those 2 stitches, I have another stitch which is the back post double crochet that I have to work. So make sure you always count the stitches of your rows so you have the same amount of stitches in every row that you complete. So the third before last stitch is a front post double crochet. The second before last stitch is a back post double crochet. And my last stitch is my half double crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2, and turn your row. Now in the next row, the third row with the rib stitch, the first stitch is a half double crochet. Now again, I need to keep the same direction of the stitches. So the second before the last stitch was a back post double crochet, but when I turned my work, it became a front post, then back post, front post, and so on. So the second stitch, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. The next stitch is a back post double crochet. The next stitch is a front post double crochet. Okay, so keep working your front post and your back posts up until the end. Make sure you count your stitches so you have the same amount of stitches at the end of each row. I've completed the third and last row for my rib stitch. Now if you prefer, you can go ahead and work a few more rows if you'd like, an extra 1 or 2 rows if you'd like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and work 1 row of single crochet all around my work, starting from the one side, going upwards the buttonholes, around the neckline and going downwards the other front part. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work one chain, and I'm going to turn my work to start working upwards on the one front part over here where I have the buttonholes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work one single crochet on each first stitch of every row. Okay, now that I have the half double crochet in the beginning, so in the first row, under the first half double crochet, work one single crochet. On the next half double crochet, go ahead again and work one single crochet. And on the last half double crochet, go ahead and work one single crochet. Now under every double crochet, we're going to be working 2 single crochet, and that's because I've mentioned in other videos as well, when we work horizontally on top of double crochet, we always need 2 stitches because we work 2 moves in order to complete a double crochet. So I need 2 stitches to fill in a horizontal spot of double crochet. So under the double crochet, put your hook and work 2 single crochet. 1, 2. On the next double crochet, under the stitch, and this is a chain 3, right? So under the stitch, work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. Now the next stitch is a buttonhole. I removed the stitch marker. So under this stitch, again, work 2 single crochet. 1, 2. And the reason that I removed the stitch marker is because once we work the 2 single crochet on our buttonholes, the buttonhole is very clear and you can see exactly where you're going to need to put your button in the end. Okay, so continue by working 2 single crochet under every double crochet. 1, 2. Now on the next double crochet, 2 stitches under that stitch as well. 1, 2. 2 single crochet under the next double crochet. 1, 2. 2 single crochet under the buttonhole. So we're going to be working 2 single crochet under every first double crochet of every row. So continue working your 2 single crochet under every stitch, and once I reach right here in the last stitch marker, which is the first buttonhole that we worked going from the top to the bottom, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to work in this last stitch to keep this nice angle so the V opening on the front is visible. Okay, so once I reach my last stitch marker, I'm going to turn my video back on. I've reached my last stitch marker, and I now want to crochet to create a corner so my V opening stands out. So what I'm going to do in this stitch, and make sure that on the other side, on the other front part as well, in the same row and in the same stitch, you put a stitch marker, so you're going to work the same exact steps as we did now. So on the other front part, count from the top to the bottom 11 rows again, and on the 11th row, attach your stitch marker. This is where you're going to work the same exact steps that I'm going to do right now. Okay, so put your hook under the stitch and work 2 single crochet. 1, 2, chain 1, and 2 more single crochet under the same stitch. 1 and 2. Under the next double crochet, work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. Under the next double crochet, work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. So let's see how nice and what a nice angle it gives on my V opening. Okay, here's where we work the 2 single crochet, chain 1 and 2 single crochet. It gives a nice curve on our V opening, and now we're going to keep working upwards, working 2 single crochet under every double crochet. Once you reach the neckline, which is the beginning of our work, where we worked our chains, you're going to be working one single crochet inside every chain stitch, okay, on the neckline. Now here, once you finish working on the neckline, the one single crochet on top of each double crochet, on top of each chain stitch over here, again, start going downwards by working 2 single crochet under every double crochet up until you reach your 11th row. And in this very same stitch, you're going to work the step that we just did, 2 single crochet, chain 1 and 2 single crochet. Keep going downwards by working 2 single crochet under every double crochet. And once you reach your rib stitch right over here, because we worked a total of 3 rows, on top of every half double crochet on each one of those 3 rows, work only 1 single crochet. Once I go all around and reach down here, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue. I have completed crocheting all around. Okay, I've worked my 2 single crochet under the last double crochet over here, 1 single crochet on top of each half double crochet on each of the 3 rows that I worked for my rib stitch. And now, in order to close the whole row, I've worked 1 chain, cut the yarn, and fasten off. Okay, so let's see the shape that we gave on the V opening on our vest. Okay, just give me a second because it's huge and it doesn't fit under my video camera. Okay, so see what a nice shape that we gave over here on the V opening of our vest. Here where we worked the 2 double crochet, the chain 1 and the 2 single crochet, the chain 1 and the 2 single crochet. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to work on each sleeve 2 rows of the rib stitch, so we can give a nice finishing touch on the sleeves as well. So go ahead on the sleeve and attach your hook on the bottom stitch right here where we joined the 2 sides together. So put your hook right on there. Grab the yarn and pull it through the stitch and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 chains count as my first double crochet. Okay, now go ahead on the first double crochet, on the next double crochet, and pull it outwards to work a front post double crochet in the same exact way we did all of our stitches, and work a double crochet. Next stitch, work a back post, so from the back to the front and to the back again, and work our double crochet. So we're working the front posts and the back posts in the same exact way we worked them on the bottom of our vest. Okay, now the next stitch is a front post double crochet. Next stitch is a back post double crochet. Okay, so keep working your front post and your back posts all around, and once I work in the last stitch either a front post or a back post, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to finish the first row and how to start the second row of the sleeve. I've worked all my front post and back post double crochet all around, and this is how the sleeve looks like at this point. Okay, so in order to close row number 1, put your hook in the first double crochet that you worked for this row, which was the chain 3. So counting from the bottom to the top, put your hook in that 3rd chain and work a slip stitch. Now, because we're working the front posts and the back posts, you don't have to turn your work around and continue working. You can continue working in the round. So chain 3, which is our first double crochet, and put your hook on the first stitch and keep working a front post double crochet, the same thing that we did in the previous row. The next stitch was a back post double crochet. So in this row I'm going to work a back post double crochet as well. Okay, the next stitch is a front post, back post, and so on. Keep working up until you finish the row with the same stitch that you finished row number 1. I finished the row with a back post double crochet, so if you finish with a back post, your last stitch should be a back post again. If you finish with a front post, your last stitch is going to be a front post double crochet. When I finish the second row, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to fasten off and how to attach the buttons on our work. I've completed crocheting both of my sleeves, the one side and on the other. Okay, now we're going to see how to attach the buttons. We are only going to work one button together, and then I'm going to finish the video because I don't have my handmade wooden buttons prepared yet. So I'm going to show on a plastic button how to attach it on your vest. Okay, so we want to make sure first of all that we attach all the buttons in the same exact rows that we have our buttonholes. Next, we want on the rows that we're going to attach the buttons, we want to attach them on the double crochet that's right next to the double crochet that we worked the 2 single crochet on. So let's say that you want to attach your button on this row over here. You want to attach it on this double crochet over here. So let's see how to attach the first button up here where we have the corner of the vest. Okay, so this is my buttonhole, and right over here in the same exact stitch on the other side in the same row that I've worked the corner as well, I want to attach my first button. So I took 2 pieces of yarn through the holes just to make sure that my button stays well enough so it doesn't come out. So what I want to do is I want to put the button right here on this double crochet. So take the one side of the yarn on the right side of the stitch and the other side of the yarn on the left side of the stitch. Okay, and make a hard knot. And then you're going to weave in the ends in the back. Okay, so this is how it looks like when you attach your buttons. Go ahead and work all the rest of the buttons in the same exact row you want to attach them as the row that you have made your buttonholes on. If you're a sponsor, make sure you check out a video that's going to be uploaded on how to crochet a sleeve so you can turn this vest into a jacket. Also, I'm going to post charts for so you can make this from a newborn to an extra large size. So thanks for watching. If you want to become a sponsor in my channel, you can follow the link that I have provided under the video in the About section. Please subscribe, and if you like the videos that I upload, please like and leave a comment under the video. Thanks again. Bye bye.